No, 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 questi verbi mi fanno impazzire, sono terribili sti verbi. Ciao studenti, hello students, welcome back to Italy Made Easy. We are getting to the end of a 30-day challenge for beginner Italian. I know you've learned a lot, and today you're learning a little bit more about irregular verbs that end in ere in Italian. There's so many, and we're not going to cover all of them here. We have entire units covering irregular verbs on our platform. But here, I'm going to give you today a bunch of ere verbs that you can learn how they are irregular and then apply what you learn to a bunch of other verbs. So let's start with this verb, leggere. Leggere means to read. You knew that because in English you have the word legible, right? So it can be read, like easy to read, legible. Leggere, to read. Leggere. When we conjugate leggere, something strange happens. Can you hear leggere? It's a G, leggere. But the first person of the verb is leggo. Io leggo. Oh, why does a verb change sound from G to G? How does it dare even do that? Well, think about it. It's actually following the spelling of what you have learned. Leggere, that's the verb. You remove ere, you're left with the stem L-E-G-G, leg, right? But then the ending for io is o. What happens when you put an o after a g? It sounds go. So leggo actually makes sense. So it's irregular because it changes pronunciation, but it's actually irregular in spelling. So what would the two versions sound like? Now that I've said this, if you have the stem L-E-G-G, what's the ending for tu? It's always e, right? Like the I vowel. But what does G and I sound like? G. So leggi, you read, leggi, leggi. Lei o lui, legge. How about noi? The ending is iamo. What happens when you attach iamo to a G? You have giamo, right? So leggiamo. Leggiamo, you have to have a stronger G because there's two, but it's giamo, so leggiamo. Voi leggete. How about loro? Think about it. The ending for loro is ono. So we're back to the beginning of the problem. Leggono. Leggono, because G and O sounds good. So this verb looks weird, but it's actually not that scary. And luckily, there's other verbs that do the same thing, that behave the same way. So let's try friggere. Friggere means to fry. So you say it first. Io friggo. Tu friggi. Lei o lui frigge. Noi friggiamo. Bene. Voi friggete. Loro friggono. They are frying. So this is the verb friggere conjugated for the whole thing, right? So piangere, can you guess piangere? Piangere means to cry. How would you say I'm crying? Piango. Piango. How would you say, why are you crying? Perché piangi? Perché is why and piangi means you cry. Perché piangi? Perfetto. How about dipingere? Dipingere is to paint. How would you say that they are painting? Loro dipingono. How would you say that you paint well, like I paint well? Well, the word for well is bene. Probably you knew that one. I haven't taught you, but I know you're learning Italian elsewhere as well. So, io dipingo. Io dipingo. How about if you ask me, do you paint, Manu? Manu, dipingi? Dipingi? All right, so you got these g verbs sorted. Here's the entire conjugation, if you want to look at it. And here's dipingere, but you got it right, so we're good, right? So here's another type of irregular verb, and that is verbs that have the S and C combo, because you can expect the problem. You know that SCE sounds she, so that verb is conoscere, means to know, or to meet somebody, to know or to meet for the first time. Conoscere. But you also know that if you put a different vowel, that sh might change into something else. So again, this verb, you will see that it's correct in spelling, it's just weird in sound because it has to adjust for the spelling. And here it is, io conosco. So you went from conosci with a sh to conosco. Tu conosci. You're back to the sh sound because SCI sounds she. So nothing weird, but we're still following the conjugation. Lei conosce. Noi conosciamo. We know. Voi conoscete. You guys know. And loro conoscono. Conoscono, you're back to the sk because of the spelling that now you're familiar with. Nascere. Nascere means to be born. And guess what? Italian is consistent. If it does something weird in one verb, it's going to do it in the other verb that has the same thing. So, nascere, to be born. Io nasco. I'm born or I was born. Tu nasci. Lei o lui nasce. Noi nasciamo. We are born. Or we were born. Voi nascete. Loro nascono. Loro nascono. Perfetto. And there you have it. You've learned how to conjugate, actually how to pronounce some irregular verbs from the ERE group that behave a little bit funny. I will see you tomorrow where you will learn how to introduce yourself in Italian now that you know all the main things about the language. You have the foundation and it's time that you start speaking, right? A domani.